r/MedicalGore. r/MedicalGore is a subreddit with over 470,000 active members. Originally created in December of 2013, its description reads as follows. The goal of r/MedicalGore is to foster medical discussion and learning through the gruesome reality of the vulnerability of humankind. Posts must have a medical condition, and OP interaction with commenters is strongly encouraged. When you find cool medical stuff to post, please try to add a medical background. At first glance, this might seem like a well-intentioned space, perhaps a helpful resource for aspiring medical students or individuals seeking insight into certain conditions. However, upon diving deeper into the content, it quickly becomes apparent that the subreddit often strays from this educational mission. Many posts feature graphic injuries, exposed tissue, decaying limbs, tumors, and the aftermath of surgeries. The content can be jarringly intense, more reminiscent of horror films than medical case studies. As I scrolled through the subreddit's homepage, one post stood out. Tripped over a rug at home and fell face first into a 15-centimeter brass eagle statuette. The post describes a real and severe injury. A 38-year-old man from the United Kingdom arrived at the emergency department with a penetrating facial injury. While intoxicated, he had tripped and fallen onto a brass eagle statuette, which had pierced the area beneath his right eye. He was brought in with the object still lodged in his face. Despite bleeding and an inability to assess his vision due to the obstruction, his overall condition was stable. CT scans revealed the wing of the statuette had penetrated the orbit and reached the ethmoid sinuses. Surgery was performed by both ENT and ophthalmology specialists to remove the foreign object and control the bleeding. The globe of the eye was intact, though the retina initially showed no pulsation. Fortunately, by the end of the operation, pulsation returned and the prognosis improved. The patient underwent follow-up care and over time maintained some vision in the affected eye. While he didn't fully recover his eyesight, visual acuity remained about 6/60 in the injured eye. He avoided more severe complications like CSF leakage or brain injury. Now obviously I can't show the actual photo accompanying the post, but I can share the x-ray that was included. This is a very real situation, a freak accident that could happen to anyone. And to be fair, this particular post doesn't seem malicious at all. It's mostly a detailed medical case shared with an educational tone. However, this highlights a larger issue that surrounds r/MedicalGore, the ethical gray area in which it operates. There's frequent debate about consent, especially when images of patients, both living and deceased, are shared without clear permission. Some posts appear to come from developing countries or chaotic emergency situations where privacy and medical ethics may not be strictly followed. While certain users aim to be respectful or educational, others treat the content with disturbing casualness, cracking jokes, making light of serious injuries, or even mocking the deceased. That raises a deeper concern. How ethical is this community really? What may have started as a niche hub for sharing rare medical cases has over time morphed into something more ambiguous. With insensitive comments and joke threads under genuinely tragic posts, one can't help but wonder how many people are engaging with this content for the wrong reasons. It's easy to imagine that the subreddit, while partially educational, also attracts those who find a kind of voyeuristic thrill in the suffering of others. r/LastImages. r/LastImages is a subreddit with over 473,000 members. Created in March of 2013, its description. Postings here are the last known photographs or videos of a person. Also, the last picture taken by a person just before their death is acceptable. Pictures of people only, please. You may add additional context in the comments. True to its name, r/LastImages is a collection of the final known images of people who are no longer alive. Some of the photos are famous, like the haunting final images of Princess Diana on the night of August 30th, 1997. That particular photo shows her seated in the back of a black Mercedes-Benz S-Class alongside her companion, Dodi El-Fahed. In the front were their driver, Henry Paul, and bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones. The image was captured just after they left the Ritz Hotel in Paris. Trying to avoid the paparazzi by exiting through the rear, Diana is seen glancing back toward the photographers, a striking and somber reflection of the intense media scrutiny she faced. Tragically, Just after midnight on August 31st, their car crashed in the Pont des Allemands tunnel. Henry Paul and Dodi El Fahed were killed instantly. Diana died a few hours later in the hospital. Trevor Rees-Jones was the only survivor. While some posts on the subreddit focus on high-profile tragedy, many others are deeply personal. Users often share final images of their loved ones, grandparents during a quiet Christmas, a smiling friend who later passed unexpectedly. At first glance, the subreddit can seem like a poignant, even respectful archive, a digital memorial that helps preserve the memory of those who are gone. And in many ways, it is. Some of the most powerful posts are accompanied by heartfelt stories from family or friends, bringing emotional weight and humanity to these images. But the longer you scroll, the more complicated it becomes. As I explored the subreddit further, I began noticing posts that were more and more unsettling. One of the most haunting was the final image of Wu Yongning, a Chinese stunt performer known for his daring rooftop climbs. On November 8, 2017, while attempting a stunt in Changsha, China, Wu lost his grip and fell approximately 13.7 meters, or 45 feet, to his death. His body was discovered shortly after by a window cleaner. This final image shows the last thing that Wu ever saw in his mortal life, and I must say it's quite chilling. And that's the unsettling truth behind many of these photos. Often they capture people in seemingly happy, mundane, or even triumphant moments. Smiling at a family gathering, or celebrating a birthday, heading out for a night with friends. There's no sign of what's coming. The most disturbing part is just how normal these moments look. r/LastImages straddles a strange line between memorial and morbidity. On one hand, it serves as a space for grief and remembrance. On the other, it raises uncomfortable questions about our relationship with death, and how easily tragedy becomes content. r/MassKillers. r/MassKillers is a subreddit with over 199,000 active members. It was created in March of 2018. Its description reads, a subreddit centered on the phenomenon of mass murder and the perpetrators who commit them, their motivations, crimes, and the psychology of these individuals. This subreddit is not meant to glorify mass killers, but rather to discuss the attempt to understand their behavior. A mass killer is defined as one person who kills 3 or more individuals arbitrarily in a contained population at a single point in time. This includes mass shooters, bombers, terrorists, and family annihilators. While the community explicitly states that this is not a safe place to glorify these horrific acts or to post manifestos or live streams, it remains deeply unsettling. The subreddit is flooded with content, childhood photos of killers, details of their home lives, and even images of their childhood homes. Some posts discuss how they were perceived by family and peers and friends. Others show the weapons used in attacks. One such post reads, "Axe used in yesterday's Warsaw campus attack." If you're unaware, on the evening of May 7th, 2025, a tragic and violent incident occurred at the University of Warsaw. A 22-year-old law student, identified as Mysko R., entered the campus's auditorium maximum around 6:40 p.m. and launched an axe attack. The assault resulted in the brutal death, a reported decapitation of a 53-year-old female porter, and the critical injury of a 39-year-old security guard who tried to intervene. The attacker was apprehended at the scene and is currently in custody. Seeing a photo of the axe lying near a bush, knowing it was used to senselessly murder someone just hours earlier, is deeply jarring. Other posts feature images of killers during their trials. Some threads debate why Eric Harris is more remembered and, disturbingly, even more like than Dylan Klebold. There are also memorial posts marking the anniversary of mass killings. One recent post reads, "Yesterday was the 2nd-year anniversary of the Allen Mall shooting, in which 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia took the lives of 8 people before being gunned down by on-site officer Dominique Atkins." If you're unfamiliar, the Allen Premium Outlet shooting occurred on May 6, 2023, in Allen, Texas. Garcia exited a silver sedan around 3:36 p.m. and opened fire with an AR-15 style rifle. He wore a tactical vest and carried multiple weapons and extra ammunition. 8 people were killed and 7 others were injured. Garcia was fatally shot by a police officer already on the scene for an unrelated call. The victims in this attack ranged from age 3 to 37. Their names are as follows: James Cho, 3 years old, along with his parents, Kyu Song Cho, 37, and Cindy Cho, 35. Sisters Daniela Mendoza, 11, and Sofia Mendoza, 8. Ayeshwarya Thattikonda, 27, an engineer from India. Christian Licor, 20, a mall security guard. And Elio Cumana Rivas, 32, a Venezuelan immigrant. Authorities later discovered that Garcia espoused neo-Nazi and white supremacist ideologies online, frequently sharing anti-Semitic and misogynistic content. During the attack, he wore a patch that read "Right-Wing Death Squad" and displayed Nazi tattoos. Garcia had previously served in the U.S. Army but was discharged in 2008 for mental health concerns. This is tragically a story we hear all too often in today's world, and it shows no signs of slowing. While this subreddit may serve as a living memorial for victims and a place of inquiry into the dark recesses of human psychology, it is a chilling and stark reminder of the cruelty we are capable of inflicting on one another. r/gangstalking. r/gangstalking is a subreddit with over 71,000 members. The community was created in December 2011. Its description reads: r/gangstalking is a subreddit that focuses upon presenting information about predatory gangstalking and also to exist as a community, to organize as a group, to spread awareness and education. If you're unfamiliar with gangstalking, here's a quick explanation. Gangstalking is described by self-identified victims as a form of organized harassment, where a group, believed to consist of neighbors, co-workers, and strangers, or even government agents, allegedly monitors, intimidates, and psychologically torments a target individual over a prolonged period. Common claims made by the alleged victims are being followed by strangers wherever they go, receiving strange phone calls or texts, hearing unexplained tapping, beeping, or footsteps, discovering their home or car has been tampered with, experiencing gaslighting, being manipulated into doubting their perception of reality, feeling constantly watched or filmed, and reporting electronic harassment such as radio frequencies or voice-to-skull technology. While these tactics have historically been used against political dissidents or whistleblowers in oppressive regimes, most people who report gangstalking today are just everyday citizens. Many of them, however, exhibit symptoms consistent with paranoid schizophrenia. If you're unaware of what schizophrenia is, I'll explain. Schizophrenia is a chronic and severe mental health disorder that affects how a person thinks, feels, and even behaves. A key characteristic is psychosis, or a loss of contact with reality, which can include delusions or false fixed beliefs, hallucinations which are often auditorial, and disorganized thinking and speech. When individuals with schizophrenia experience paranoia, they may construct elaborate, deeply believable narratives, like being stalked by coordinated groups, even when there is no concrete evidence. Browsing the subreddit reveals some unsettling posts. Many users seek advice on finding EMF-free, off-grid shelters, or communities for targeted individuals, or TIs as they're referred to in the subreddit. Others describe being followed constantly or monitored through advanced surveillance. One post reads, "How do you locate hidden cameras and bugs in your house? I don't want them spying on me. I've tried going around the rooms with a torch and the lights off, but it's really tedious. What if the bugs are remote controlled, or what if they're moving around?" The original poster provides no clear reason why they believe their home is bugged. Some replies mocked the claim, but one stood out. 6 years of experience here. I got it bad after having an argument with someone powerful on Instagram. I think it's government run. Their reach is massive. At first I thought they had cameras in my house, but no. It's satellites locked onto your heartbeat. And if they really didn't like you, you'd know. They get bored eventually, so try and be patient. Another comment by the original poster in the same thread reads, "I'm afraid they're spying on me while I'm showering or getting dressed, trying to blackmail me with the footage, or steal all of my personal info and passwords. I don't know if the government is involved, but I do know a lot of people don't like me. But this raises more questions than answers. Who is this person? Why would someone want to follow or even surveil them? Why would anyone go so far as to plant hidden cameras in their home? Is there really a shadowy government agency stalking regular people? If so, why target those with seemingly no influence or value to exploit? Are these people truly experiencing surveillance, or are they suffering from paranoid delusions fueled by mental illness? Could some posts be fictional or even performative? The truth is, we may never fully know. Perhaps it's a mix of all three: real, imagined, and fabricated. Either way, r/gangstalking serves as a fascinating yet haunting window into the minds of those who feel trapped in a reality that most of us will never understand. r/SomeOfYouMayDie. r/SomeOfYouMayDie is a rapidly growing subreddit with over 200,000 active members. Launched in December of 2022, it's fairly new but has grown quite popular very quickly. Its chilling, blunt description reads, "From the wildest to the lamest, witness the mortality of human lives. This community is about learning what not to do." At first glance, this subreddit presents itself as a cautionary archive, an educational space cataloging the harsh consequences of carelessness, negligence, or dangerous decision-making. It features tragic workplace accidents, high-speed car crashes, and freak mishaps that unfold in the blink of an eye. The underlying message seems clear. Actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences are fatal. But the deeper you dig, the more disturbing the picture becomes. What starts as a virtual safety manual quickly begins to unravel into something much darker. It becomes a haven for the morbidly curious, for those who can't look away from the carnage. It transforms into a voyeur's theater of tragedy, where human suffering is consumed like entertainment. Here, there's a very thin line between cautionary tale and outright horror. One particular jarring post shows two presumed Russian soldiers standing beside makeshift poles, each one mounted with a human head impaled on top. Another image taken from the same brutal collection shows a man executing another with an axe. These are not movie stills or artistic recreations. These are real, unfiltered moments, raw glimpses into the savagery of war, most of it stemming from the ongoing conflict in the Ukraine. This subreddit is saturated with content from the battlefield, shattered bodies, mangled limbs, and evidence of a rage that has left Eastern Europe drowning in bloodshed for the last 3 years. It doesn't stop there. Another haunting video depicts a man attempting to unload a heavy object from an elevator. What he doesn't realize is that a cord or rope attached to the cargo has gotten caught in the elevator doors. As the elevator begins to ascend, the rope tightens, pulling the cargo with force. The man tries to intervene, prying at the doors in desperate panic, but in a horrifying twist, the weight of the object causes the elevator to malfunction. The doors burst open, and the man is violently yanked into the dark, vacant shaft below. The footage ends in silence. Just like that, he's gone. And these are just a few grains of sand in the beach of horrors. Scroll long enough and you'll encounter an endless stream of gut-wrenching imagery and bone-breaking videos. People crushed by industrial machinery, electrocutions caught on CCTV, motorcyclists flying through windshields, and bodies flung like rag dolls during high-speed collisions. The content is relentless, but that begs the question, who is this content really for? Is this subreddit truly an educational tool? A visceral reminder of why safety protocols matter? Or is it a digital graveyard where the curious go to indulge in gore? Are some users genuinely learning what not to do? Or are others logging in just to feel the dark thrill of watching a human life end on camera? Some viewers might be there to better understand danger. Others, perhaps they're there for something far more unsettling. The high of horror. A twisted kind of fascination that lives in the murky overlap between empathy and entertainment. In the end, r/SomeOfYouMayDie is more than a warning. It's a mirror reflecting both the fragility of life and the shadows lurking in your own curiosity. Whether you view it as a necessary evil or a symptom of our desensitized age, it is up to you. But one thing is clear. Once you've seen what's inside, you can't unsee it.